to This Matters channel, where I stream random shit every day of the week. So today I'm going to be streaming about designing a keyboard, actually. So this is a keyboard that I've been working on for a little while. I'm calling it Plaidox for reasons that should be obvious. But I'll probably explain why. So I've been working on this for a little while, and I've been posting it to the boardsource.xyz Discord and a few other Discords just to see if anybody's interested in it. And it seems like there's a few people who are pretty enthusiastic about it. I'm still very enthusiastic about it. Like I said before, I'm an Ergodox user, so this would represent more of a in-the-game sort of layout and case for the Ergodox. Yeah, but one of the people on the Discord was asking how come there's not an encoder on here, and he's absolutely right. There's basically no excuse for an in-game keyboard to not have an encoder position or two available on it. So I was going to spend a little bit of time adding an encoder to this and getting it into the renders and all that. As you can see, I have it rendered here without any keycaps on because, man, I don't know how to render keycaps. I'd have to like get render files from other people and put them on there, and that, you know, that's just a lot of work. So for now, I haven't rendered it with any keycaps. So yeah, an encoder. Let's talk about what an encoder is. There's a few. So first off, I'm not paid by BoardSource in any way, shape, or form. In fact, I pay them pretty regularly for keyboards and parts. I think they're a fantastic store. They have a great community, so I'm going to pitch them a little bit here. So we're talking about encoders, though. So there's a few keyboards that have these kind of encoders on there, and we're going to talk about finding these encoders from someplace that isn't a keyboard shop. So the keyboard I'm talking about here, I think, is the Kyria. Yeah, and you can see if you zoom in on the photo of it, right here, there's a position for an encoder. It's sort of given away by these 3 through holes and 2 little clamping holes here. There's also some extra holes up on the top that are harder to make out. That's different from the sort of regular MX style footprint. So if we look here, there's a few other positions that can take an encoder, and I think the kit says that you can pick 2, right? I'm not sure why there's a limitation on that, but we're going to look into it. So like I said, the encoders are available on a few different kinds of keyboards these days. The Sofly has one here, which you can make, sort of either palm. If you look at it built, there it is. They even notched their little case. That's cute. So the Lily 58, certain versions of it also have an encoder. So there's definitely a lot of reason to include an encoder in your kit. It's just so hot right now. So all of these encoders seem to be using the where'd it go? Come on, guy. I just saw it here a minute ago. Yeah, here we are. The EC11 rotary encoder. And if they're selling it here as a standalone part, and you can kind of get a look at the pinout. It's got these 3 pins on the bottom, and then 2 pins toward the top, and then these 2 sort of mounting. They're not quite pins. And then if we look at Sofl, it backs that up as well. It even goes as far as to suggest a specific variant. And the Sofl here is an open source keyboard, so I'm probably going to take some notes from it as to what their how they're interfacing with the microcontroller and all that. So I went ahead and looked on Mouser for the EC11E, and it seems to have found it. There's a few different variations we can pick from. I'm basically interested here in finding one that's general enough to work for me and that doesn't cost a significant amount more than any of the other ones. So the price point set up here at mkultra.click. Again, no affiliation. I have no affiliation with any keyboard store at this point. The one they're selling here prices out at like $5, which is not bad if you consider the sort of each cost on Mouser is like $4 for the cheapest one on the page. Yeah, just about. Yeah, this one's slightly cheaper. Let's start here. These are all going to have different. I mean, these are all variations on the same part number. Let's get into the datasheet actually, and let's see what these variations mean. Reading a datasheet is one of the more important things you'll need to be able to do if you are if you're trying to design an electronic device like a keyboard. So let's get into it. I haven't looked at this datasheet before, so we're going to sort of figure it out together. So they have a few different mounting options. It seems like most of them are vertical, so this horizontal one doesn't really matter to us. That's the EC11B. The EC11E is the one we're specifically interested in, and it looks like we have variations on, no, we don't have variations on the length of the shaft. We have a 20mm shaft. Torque varies a little bit. I'd like a lighter torque. That doesn't actually matter because each individual user will be able to pick from a few different encoders here as they implement their own build of this thing. So they can sort of choose their own torque there. Detents, so a detent is like a clicky position. If you've ever spun different kinds of encoders that are gonna, some of them are gonna click into certain positions, and others are gonna be sort of free spinning. So my general preference would be without, just because I don't necessarily need this thing clicking. I want to use it as a mouse wheel on mine, so I don't necessarily want a mouse wheel that clicks. So the number of pulse would be like how many times per rotation it like has a position. It's related to that. What I do care about here is that it has a push button, right? I'd like to be able to push the encoder down and have that do a thing. The firmware should support that, so I'm going to go ahead and aim to have that. These are all rated for the same operating cycle, and their drawing number broadly that we're looking at here is 5. So if we scroll on down, yeah, here's our drawings. We would be looking at 5. Bingo bango. So that gives us some dimensions on this switch, or on what the encoder itself looks like, and it tells us really precisely what our footprint ought to look like. I'm going to guess I can steal a footprint from an existing open source project. It's not stealing because it's open source. I'm going to borrow it from an existing open source project, and we're going to see what that looks like. If not, we can make our own in KiCad because it's not that big of a deal. And here it's showing us D and E are what act like a switch, so we probably still need to have a diode position to make this thing behave basically like a key switch. And yeah, that's what these two pins up here, D and E, are doing. Notice on drawing 4, which doesn't have the button, these don't do jack. So Um, but yeah, they still come on the physical package, and you don't necessarily want the maker to have to snap a pin off of their encoder. So you just make the footprint have the same holes there. Okay, so that gives us an idea of the switch we're talking about, or the dangle encoder that we're talking about. So EC11E. What we haven't gotten into is what the electrical characteristics of it look like, and how this thing actually would interact with a microcontroller. So we're going to keep looking for that on this data sheet here. But it does give us a few part numbers that we should look for if we're going to order for our prototyping. That's the word here. It's kind of early in the morning, and my brain hadn't quite gotten going perfectly yet. So I'm going to look for one on the lighter torque side of things, without detents, with a click, and number of pulse. I'm actually gonna try to understand what number of pulse means a little bit better before I make a determination there. Lots of drawings here. Dang. Alright. These all basically are the same foot. Ooh, this one has some extra stuff going on. Well, dang. Here we might get into our pulses. Yeah, so I'm pretty sure the only mention of pulses is back up here, where they're talking about the wave trains that come through as you spin the device. Now, I am pretty sure that the this is fun. Oh, okay. It's just the number of detents that exist. Okay, so 18 detents, 9 pulses, 36 detents, 18 pulses. I think that the pulses are just telling us how we can detect if this thing is turning left or right, and how many, what the resolution of the encoder looks like. So if you're, 18 pulses means you're able to detect a smaller bit of rotation than you would on a 9 pulse, for instance. Yeah, so I'm going to aim for higher pulses on this one. So let's go pick out a part number, and let's see if we can get it in our shopping cart. So for vertical 20, I want high pulse count. I want, travel of the push switch in millimeters. Dang, a millimeter and a half's a lot. I'm gonna go with the smaller one. So low torque, high detent, or high pulse, no detent, short throw. That puts us right here. So 183440C. Let's see if we can find that. 183. Here we are. Locks in at about $4 each, unless we're ordering a number of them. Eventually, I'd like to do a group buy for this thing. So that means, if I'm able to make find 500 people that want to buy this thing, then I can get them for considerably cheaper, and that's the point of a group buy. Lets you save on these sort of nuts and bolts components that you would otherwise be spending quite a bit on. So I'm going to put two of these in my shopping cart, and I'm going to continue shopping. I don't think there's anything else that I'd need from here. I mean, obviously diodes if it comes to that. But I just want to sort of drop some knowledge of this somewhere that I can, find it useful later. So let's go ahead and projects Plaidox, and I have a README here. So them readme.markdown. The EC is suitable for encoder, and that's available from now. So this thing is the USB-C slot. That's a nice find. I think Waffle from the Discord shared that with me, so I was really grateful to have that. Okay, and eventually I'm going to put all this into bill of materials format so that this open source project will be somewhat complete. Anyways, let's put you at 6. So come in. I'm sorry?
Can you try opening this pouch?
Is it like welded shut?
Open it.
Jesus.
Thank you.
Got big man hands to open it.
I tried. Thank you.
And you can bring them in too. It's not a problem. So where was we? We was talking about, yeah. So I've got the encoder picked out. I know basically where I want it to go. I want it to be dropping right here and right here. The next thing I need to know is if I can actually interface with this SOB. So the presumption is that oh, hang on, hold up. Yeah. Uh-oh. I got a baby crying over there. I might need to take a minute. The presumption is that this here microcontroller has some pins on it that are still available for reading the encoder. It doesn't look like the encoder is doing anything fancy, like being an I2C device or one wire or anything like that. So I don't know if I can use more than one encoder here, because I don't. I'm going to have to do some research into seeing if the MCP 23018, I think that I'm using over here, it's either the 18 or the 17, will even work alongside an encoder. So we may be limited to only having an encoder on the left side, which would at least bring parity with a few of the with the SOFL keyboard, because I think that it only has one position. See if I no, I take that back. SOFL has one on either side. Of course, they're using a more complicated microcontroller. So, and they have a full microcontroller on either side. So I'm gonna go on pause for a minute and go check on my baby. Be right back. And we're back. Sorry about that dead air there. So let's go, cancel that. Let's go to the SOFL here and let's see what they're doing. Okay, good. They're using KiCad, so that shouldn't be a problem. I'm just going to go ahead and clone this damn thing, and we're going to get right into the thick of it and figure out what they did to connect this thing up. I know that this thing supports QMK, and that's really all I care about. If it supports QMK, then VIA can probably work too. And I'm not big on the firmware side of things at this point, so I'll let the firmware folks deal with that. If this works on, and I guess I need to do my diligence here and make sure, yeah, okay, QMK key mappings, bloop. So if whatever they're doing can be done for me, then that encoder will be supported by the firmware. And that's the really nice thing about this keyboard ecosystem that we've got, is that if one thing is built one way and it's open source and it works with the firmware, then you can always see how that worked and reverse engineer it to work for your design. So that's exactly what we're going to do to a mags. And copy this thing, and I'm going to grab this and take it over to my projects directory, and I'm going to clone it so that we'll have SOFL keyboard in the collection. Ooh, it's big. It's really big. Man alive. How? What? I guess it has images in there? Something? I don't know. That's an enormous repo for just being a keyboard. So let's get in there. SOFL keyboard. And I want to go to V2. Actually, I'm not even going to bother navigating to it here. I'm just going to open up KiCad and let KiCad do the work. So as you can see, I've got my project loaded for Plaidox. I'm going to go ahead and open project, and we'll just navigate this thing right over to SOFL keyboard right at the top. Let's look at V2 and let's look here. It knows what it's doing already. So I want to look at the schematic and see how they're treating that thing. And I'm going to put this on 3. Let's go have a look. So they have a relatively straightforward array of switches. They have a relatively straightforward TRRS port thing going on. Oh yeah, the OLED thing. I don't have any support for OLED. I don't need a bongo cat. Oh, here's the encoder. So looking me in the face. So here's the switch. They're using the same push button switch as well. Encoder A, encoder B, and ground in the middle for C. No big deal. So let's see where these flags lead to. Over here, Mr. B.
Come here, buddy.
So these are leading to, on the Pro Micro, A2 and A3.
Samuel, buddy.
Here, 1 second. And we're back. Sorry again for that dead air. And we have Mr. B joining us. Special guest on my morning stream. Not a big talker. That's okay. That's okay. Okay, so the SOFL has a Pro Micro or an Elite C on either side, and they communicate to each other over this serial. The encoder appears to just be a normal connection like you would do with a switch. Well, not quite. So switches are connected using the sort of grid methodology, and they do it's like a multiplexing or a Charlie-plexing type of arrangement that they use to read the rows and columns progressively to see what's pressed. And diodes are pivotal in making sure that presses are read correctly. So the switch portion of the encoder behaves just like a normal switch does in the regular array. But the actual encoder part of it seems to be getting pulses on regular pens, right? Just A2 and A3 here. They picked out two of them from the set of general purpose I/O pens that exist on the Pro Micro. So conceivably, and we might have to experiment with this a little bit before we can actually put this into production. Conceivably, since this is just a normal penny thing, if we have some pens left over on the Plaidox, that we ought to be able to put encoders there, whether it's on the left side with the microcontroller or on the right side with the GPIO expander. We ought to be able to handle them. As long as we have room in the design for the traces and whatnot to get to the encoder itself. Fortunately, the encoder location that I have in mind is really, really close to the microcontroller. So we hopefully can get something here toward the top of this microcontroller and the bottom of this GPIO expander. So let's have a look. Actually, I want to kind of confirm this arrangement in the firmware and see if that is held up. So give me a second. Actually, I'll just do this on GitHub. Let's go to GitHub. I don't know how. Where's QMK? QMK. Is that gonna work? Heh, worked. QMK firmware. Let's do it. Keyboards. Again, we don't really have to learn how to. We don't have to discover how to do this. We just have to go where others have led. So I don't know where the SOFL is in this thing. Let's see if it's directly in here. SOFL. Hey, look at that. Love it. Love it when a plan comes together. So here they are showing it with the encoder positions. We ought to be able to suss out how this thing is set up pretty quickly. Let's look at config H. It's pretty basic. SOFL H, pretty basic again. SOFL C, okay. This is getting now we're getting into the meat of things here. Encoders, pad A. Okay. Encoder support seems straightforward. And it looks as though it fits straight in to the existing schema that they have for identifying pins on the microcontroller. Let's look at key maps and see if there's anything special that goes on here. Yeah, let's see the H first. No, nothing H. Let's look at the C. They don't seem to okay, they do call out a thing for this to do. Oh, that's just the normal switch though. Yeah, that makes sense. So nothing special to do with this being an encoder here at all. Let's check the rules. Encoder enable, yes. Okay. So that seems like a pretty easy setup. It seems like you can set it up on a default, just on regular ass pens. They don't have to be any special behavior. Let me actually, just to be as diligent as possible here, I want to check out the, what do I want to check out here? Blah, blah. Oh, yeah, I wanted to check out the Pro Micro pinout. Pro Micro pinout and see if there is anything at all special about the two pens that they picked, which were A2 and A3. A2 and A3, right? Nothing special at all about those. See, what I'm looking for here is, this thing. This would be for I2C serial communication. This is actually used in my design to communicate with. Oh wait, no, I'm sorry. I got that backward. Over here's the serial communication. Here's the SPI. Yeah, dang, I was wrong twice in a row. And there's a thing down here to tell me what the hell's going on. So SPI, I2C, which is what I'm using to communicate with my GPIO expander, and then serial proper is up here. So we just have regular pens for that, which is awesome because that means that I can almost certainly do an encoder on either side and it'll work fine. Again, I'll need to really prototype that and make sure that that's true before I go into production in any way. But it seems true just at a glance. So, cool. That makes me happy. Happy. Okay, so I don't need to see this anymore. Let's kill that off, and then let's go back to our Plaidox. And yeah, this is quite a lot of sort of review. We haven't really gotten into any of the actual touching of the cool stuff yet. And that's what's happening now, though. So, oh god, oh jeez, what's happening here? Older symbol may break the schematic. It's fine. Yeah, don't show me this again. I don't care. Oh wait, let's use the library then. What does it even want me to do here? I'm going to do rescue and then do a new library. Following changes are recommended to update the project. Yeah, okay, do it. Be smarter than me, KiCad. Thank you. That's what I hired you for. Okay, so we don't need to mess with any switches. I will need to identify the particular switch where it sits and replace that with the encoder that we're putting in here. I need to identify some unused pens, if there even are any to use. Oh jeez. Oh my god. As you can see, the horror. There's no more pens. I'm all used up, which is unexpected. Let's see. Okay. That is not awesome. So the left side, it seems that's what we're seeing over here. The microcontroller sits on the left side of the keyboard. It's all eaten up. It's all eaten up with rows and columns already. And then some LED positions as well. Where's LED 2? There it is. So we could get rid of the LEDs. We could we could forego a reset button. Seems kind of bad. So that's not great. Let's look at the other side. Let's see about the MCP 23017. That's what I'm using. Aha. So over here, we've got some space. I don't love the idea of it being limited to only one side. So that's disappointing. Oh, Mr. B, yeah, use that voice, buddy. Use that voice. Put it on the stream. Let the world hear it. Yes, let's let our 0 viewers hear this thing. Yes, indeed. 0 wait, whoa, hang on. What's this? 1 viewer? Dag, yo. Who's my viewer here? Somebody hit me with some chats. 1 viewer. That could literally be me, though, I guess. Anyway, I'm not gonna freak out about having a viewer, even though all of my dreams are coming true. So maybe we can make some room here. Let's see about it. I'm pretty sure my maths were good in that I can't make this. Oh god, 7 columns though. That's a lot. So I've got on this thing 78 keys total. That's 38 keys on each side. I'll be taking that down by 2 in theory. No, I won't, because the encoders are buttons too. Never mind. I takes it back. So the only way to get an encoder onto this mess is to get rid of 3 keys. Oh, yeah, I know. Even that won't really do the trick, because I'd need to clear up a row and a column to make room for it. So this could be an ill-fated choice, or it could be the case that just we shrink this thing down a little bit. You know, the macro keys here, those 3, those aren't keys that have a you know, they're not on the QWERTY layout, right? They're sort of extras that get tucked in there. But being an Ergodox user, being an Ergodox lover, I use those keys. I have them mapped to various things. So I'm reticent to get rid of them to add an encoder. However, let's continue with the exercise and let's think about it. if I dumped off these keys, that would clear up call 7. And if I clear up call 7, that gives me a spot for the encoder, for one encoder pen, which is not enough. I would also have to... Okay, so I could dump an LED as well. Actually, if I dumped all of the LEDs, then that would give me three positions. Let's see. Hey, hold up now. So I'm driving 3 LEDs off of 3 pens, which is a bit excessive, really. I ought to be able to run those 3 LEDs off of 2 pens. No, that's ridiculous. That's totally absurd, actually. No. That was totally absurd. Don't listen to me. I'm dumb as hell. So if I dump off the LEDs, that would give me space for, without sacrificing any keys, without sacrificing any switches, rather, that would give me space for an encoder plus 1 pen. Over here on the MCP side of things, I have room for an encoder plus 1 pen. So let's weigh the trade-offs here. What are the LEDs giving us? The LEDs give us like a caps lock indication. The LEDs potentially, I use the LEDs on the Ergodox as indication of what layer I'm on. So if I'm on a modifiers layer, then I have a certain LED lit, and if I'm on the key numpad layer, I have different LEDs lit, and if I'm on my game layer, I have a different combination of those LEDs lit. So yeah, that's useful. I wouldn't say that that's a killer thing. That's more of a standard issue thing. That's like what you that's basically what you expect a keyboard to have. Nowadays, the Sofal, I'm sure, has OLED support. I'm sorry, not OLED. It does have OLED support. That's a separate thing. But it'll probably also has RGB LED support that you could use to indicate layers and all of that fun stuff. Yeah, you can see them. You can see the landing pads for those OLEDs. Oh, no, that's diodes. Never mind. No, I don't see any OLED. So this kit, it seems, hey, don't bang on my headphones, Mr. B. This kit, it seems, doesn't have any LEDs to indicate anything, but it does have the OLED display to let you indicate whatever. Hey, I said don't bang on my headphones, please. Don't bang them. Don't bang them. No banging. Yeah, I see you have your blue truck. Yeah, I see you have your blue dump truck. But don't bang them on the headphones. No bang 'ems. Okay. So if I'm taking cues from other things, of course the keyboard I'm mostly taking a cue from is the Plaid. The Plaid it's an excellent keyboard in my opinion. The design of it is quite beautiful. It has 2 LEDs. Yeah, there's the scroll of baton is. Yeah, it is 2 LEDs. So actually, if I were to dump an LED from either side... Okay, so let's think about it. If I get rid of... Let's go back to the picture, rather. If I get rid of 2 of these LEDs... That gives me the pins that I need for an encoder. Pew! And then if I put an encoder here on 2 of these pins, I still have 1 more open pin for another LED. So potentially here, I put 1 LED on the left side, 1 LED on the right side. Let those act in concert to tell us about whatever status stuff we might care about. It takes us from, you know, sort of an 8. Mr. B. It takes us from sort of 2 to the power 3 different sort of signals that we can send with our LEDs to just 2 to the power 2. So from 8 to 4. So that's not ideal to lose out on that, but you know, it's better than 0. So yeah, that's probably how I'll go ahead with this feature. I think that people would care more about the encoder than they will about the LED, so I don't think it'll be a net harm on the interest in the keyboard. And it actually sort of gets pretty close alignment with the inspiration of the keyboard in only providing 2 LEDs. So take that, world. So some other inspirations for this were the well, dang it, on stream I can't remember the name. Chidori. What did I say? It was Chidori keyboard. Yeah, I've wandered into something I don't understand. I'm gonna have to dig that up and try to remember it. Well, anyway, it's a split keyboard that's based upon the Plaid, and it's a nice sort of split keyboard. It looks like a Let's Split kind of. It's not column staggered or anything like that. But what's cool about it is it has an extra TRRS port that lets you connect up additional stuff to this thing. So the design note I took from that is to put 2 TRRS here so that you can kind of expand this thing out with more and more parts. And each of the things that you plug in via TRRS will have an address that you can set with these 9 pins here. So yeah, the point of that was to see if that keyboard had LEDs on it. Did I wanted to say I kept some notes here. So cat, read me. Oh, not Soful. I want to go back to my current. No, I didn't put it in there. Keyboard. Ah, yeah, there. I did get the name right. Dang. Good memory, y'all. Okay, so that Chidori looks like it is higher speed than me. It has way fewer keys, though, so in my defense, it has a lot more pens to work with to get these 2 LEDs per side. I really love the 2 TRRS thing that it does. I think it's super cool that it has them on opposite sides. I think that that's possible only because it has this real estate up top. Again, a wonderful kit. From this kit, I kind of took the idea of the vertical. You can see they have the diodes here mounted vertically, standing upright. That's the same thing that I did here on my design. I have them diodes standing upright. Okay, so that gives me the sort of design vector that we can follow here. I'm going to dump off 2 LEDs per side. That'll free up a little bit of space on the footprints, right? There's a lot of crowding going on up here. So, freeing up some space. I'll be losing a little bit the sort of diagonal nature of these things. It'll be a little bit more haphazard looking up there, I think. But I'll be gaining a big fat encoder right here and right here, which should make it a cooler kit altogether. Actually, I think I'm going to take a note from the other keyboards out there, Sofel especially, and maybe allow a few different positions for those 2 encoders to fall in. So perhaps one could be able to put an encoder here, here, and here. Or maybe just these extremes, here and here, here and here. I'm trying to think of where else somebody might want one. You could argue that an encoder down here is a cool choice, so maybe, and this depends a lot on the feasibility of routing, right? There's not a huge amount of free space to route traces through all the way down to here. We'll see. Most of the machinery doesn't have to change. It's basically just the footprint that has to change. But getting the traces all the way from whichever pin I'm going to end up with here down to here could pose a problem. We'll see. Anyways, so it's going to be easiest to add the encoder on this side. I actually kind of want to take a look at the existing PCB file. Hey. Oh. Well. Got out of his mouth. Okay, so here's what the PCB looks like right now. I'm doing this thing as a a single PCB will serve both sides of the keyboard. So you'll flip it over. You'll take one side, put all the components on the top side of the left and the bottom side of the right. But the same physical PCB. So ideally, I would be able to use these very bottom pens here and here to drive data for the encoder, but it actually doesn't look like. It looks like 14 is available. It doesn't look like 15 is. 15 seems to be in use as. Oh, that's weird. Hang on. Am I reading this thing wrong? Which one to use? Oh, address 0. Yeah. Address 0. That's what A0 stands for. So addressing is good. I could potentially use pen20. That doesn't seem to have anything connected to it. Yeah, it's a non-use pad. 19 looks unused as well. You'd have to get... Oh, no, actually, I could go on the bottom side of the board and get out really easily from 19. So I'm going to aim to use 14 and 19 on the MCP side of things. These are kind of spread out. I don't care, though. It shouldn't be a problem in the firmware. I would use 19 and 20, but 20 is really boxed in right now with traces. Got a bottom side trace on top and bottom, and I've got a top side trace on left and right. So there's just not good egress here. I could move the row 1 trace out a little bit and use bottom and then a via to get out here to the using the top, and then another via to get out here on the bottom. But that's a lot of vias to be thrown in there to service just an encoder. It's actually not a problem at all. The vias are perfectly serviceable. It just looks, it makes it look a little bit more crowded, and it's already quite crowded in here as it goes. So 14 and 19. And then on the other side of things, if I'm dumping off 2 LEDs, I'm only keeping one of those LEDs. I'm going to keep this... oh, that's not the LED. I'm going to keep this LED. I'm going to keep the position of this LED. And that's LED 0. And I'm going to keep the... where is it? I can't seem to find it now. I'm gonna have to trace that down. LED 2. It goes through here. What? LED 2. Oh, okay, it's going up round bottom. It's doing kind of an end run here. What is it, Mr. B? Do you want this pouch? Are you hungry? Mr. B, this is the only kind of pouch we have right now. If you want a pouch, it's this one or nothing. I know. The world is terrible. Hey. Little boy. Come here, boy. Come here, little boy. Mr. B. Come here. Come to Dada. Come to Dada. Come here. Yeah. Come sit on my lap. Let's have this pouch. Look, it's good. Mmm. Little boy. Oh, okay. Well, if you don't want it, that's all. I mean, we can go downstairs and have breakfast, but that's really all we got, man. All right, so LED 2 traces around and ends up right here. Perfect. So that can stay right where it's at. I'm not going to fuss about it. What I'm going to do is steal LED 1 and LED 0, though, to be the encoder. So that gives us an idea of what to do. 14 and 19 on the MCP side, and LED 0 and LED 1 on the microcontroller side. All right. Oh, dang it. I wasn't even thinking right. I cannot use 19 or 20. Those are interrupts on the MCP. Those are inaccessible for use as GPIO. So I need to use 6, 7, or 8, or 2 of 6, 7, and 8. That is annoying, because those are way the shit up here. Great. Okay, let's strategize a little bit here. I've got a bit of congestion right there. I could probably make room. Yeah, if I reconfigure this a little bit, I could almost certainly make room for some rearranging. So ideally, what is 14? 14 is... where? Oh, 14 is a non-connect. Okay, we cannot use 14 for anything at all. Awesome. So that's right out. Cool. Everything's good. Everything's good. So the MCP looks like we're gonna have to make use of 7 and 8. Okay, advantage here. This'll work. This'll work fine actually. 7 and 8 are perfect choices because we can connect 8 to LED 0, no problem. Right, we're gonna cut it off at the top end, so it's no longer. Actually, basically, we're gonna delete that trace and delete that trace, and we'll connect up 7 and 8 to those, and that will connect them to LED 0 and LED 1, and that'll give us a nice egress out of here using some vias, no problem. Give us egress out of here, and hey, I said don't hit my headphones, Mr. B, and straight down to here. Okay, so that's a decent plan. It doesn't affect our layout too much. It frees up some space around here. Which could make for some nice logo locations. Whenever the time comes, pop a nice little decoration on the PCB right there and right there. Okay, I like it. I like it. So let's do it. Okay, so the first thing I said I was going to do, I'm going to switch over. I wanted to keep the LED 1 position. I'm sorry, the LED 0 position on the PCB. That's here. And get rid of LED 1 and LED 2. But I want to keep the labels right. I want the pin that was driving LED 2, that's you. Whoop. I want you to be instead driving LED 0. Perfect. And then you go away, and you go away. And then let's make some new labels here. L. Yeah. This is going to be encoder A, ENC A. I'm just going to say ENC 0. No, hang on. Let's go back to the data sheet. And let's look at what they call them themselves. This is... Okay, they use A, B, and C. So I will stick with that as well. A. And here, I'll make another label, ENC B. If memory serves, the C position is ground. A signal, B signal. Wait, does the... Hang on. How does it get the high signal? If it's only connected to ground... They try to confuse me now. Okay, I get it now. These have a pull-up resistor to 5 volts, and the encoder switches them down to ground. Okay, so that makes sense. We can put a pull-up resistor. We can put a pull-up resistor on the board itself. I think we can set the microcontroller to behave like a pull-up resistor as well. So that is a consideration. I don't recall seeing a pull-up resistor on the SOFL, so we'll have to be careful on that one. Now, I'm going to pick pins 7 and 8. I'll just copy you, bring it over here. I need to get rid of that. Oh, whoa. Did not mean to hit that button. Delete no connect. Let's move you. Bango. And then let's delete the no connect. And let's grab you. Bingo. And then just to see if it's possible, just to see if we can get it to work right, I'm going to put an LED over here as well. And we're going to see if we can make that thing hum. Okay, so LED 0 goes somewhere. The other LEDs no longer go anywhere, so let's get rid of them off. Dang it. Let's get rid of them off of the diagram here. Bye. And everything else seems right still. What we need to do is add an encoder. So let's see if we have one of those in our components library. So encoder, rotary encoder switch. Perfect. That is exactly the thing I wanted to see. And we have a nice open space here. Let's go here. Jeez. Okay, so the switch, We are talking about getting rid of one or two different positions of switch. It doesn't particularly matter. It doesn't matter how many different places we run the... Oh, God. It doesn't matter how many different places we run the A and B circuits. And the switch is replacing one of these MX switches somewhere. What matters is the footprint that we're putting in place. For now, just to keep it simple, I'm going to go with one location only where it's available, and that's going to be way out on the thumb cluster. So let's figure out which switch that is, and let's do the replacement in our schematic. So that is switch 24, MX24. So that should be you over here. Yeah. So we'll just dump you off. Bye. And then we can go with a label here. L is the shortcut for label, so we'll just go L, and this will be ENC switch. Let's just do ENC S1. Bop, and then I'm going to copy that and use it over here. Bop. And then we can do a new label, ENCS2, which can go there, and we will copy it. Oh geez, and then we'll copy it over here. And that's kind of crappy vis-a-vis the label location, so there we go, that's better. Okay, so that wires that up, puts it in the right position. Well, it doesn't put it in any position at all, because it is, this is just the schematic, right? But it sort of logically gets it into the right position. Then I'm going to copy ENCA, rotate that a couple times, copy you, and do the same. Bam. And then we want to hook up a ground. Copy you, put you over here, and then we will wire you up. Bam. Okay, so that's that. There is our sweet little encoder. We've got the other connections all made up, so that should work fine for us. I'm going to go ahead and save here, and I want to check up on the other project we were looking at a moment ago, the SOFL. Yeah, let's save those changes. They were a little destructive, those changes, but no problem. And then we're going to open recent. Let's look at SOFL again, and I want to see where else ENCA and B are called out. Nowhere. Okay, so the data sheet here has a pull-up resistor in use on the terminal A and B, so I'm going to guess that the and I'm going to go ahead and ask here on the Discord, the board source XYZ Discord. I'm going to ask Waffle, because he's the resident expert about all things keyboardia. I'm going to ask, does QMK automatically deal with the pull-up resistor needed for an EC11 encoder? And he'll answer that at his leisure. He's not even online right now, so it's kind of a dick move for me to add him. But I did it anyway, so deal with it, Waffle. Yeah. Deal with it. Yeah, so we've got our encoder in place. They're not using a pull-up resistor in any way. So I'm just going to go ahead and assume that I don't need to use a pull-up resistor either, because that's how I roll. And then whenever I do a prototype, or whenever I bust out the breadboard, I will study that question a little bit more carefully. Hopefully whenever I get into breadboarding this thing, you can be here too. I'll probably stream it. I don't have a very good camera, but we'll see what we can do about it. Okay. So the next step will be to put the changes into place on the schematic editor. But it is actually time for me to go cook breakfast. So I'm going to go ahead and sign off. I hope this stream was useful. I hope that it fulfilled all of your dreams about keyboard design. In fact, it was pretty mundane. A lot of research, a little bit of reading a very specific data sheet. And sort of the trade-offs of design choices. So yeah, in future episodes of keyboard building or keyboard designing, I'll be getting into the footprint, putting the footprint onto the PCB, and then making finding a 3D model for the encoder, and then putting it into... Hey. What's all this? Okay, there you go. You can climb up. Putting the encoder into the PCB, and then putting that new PCB with the encoder into Blender, and redoing the renders to make a little animation showing a 360 view of this thing. So yeah, I hope you'll join me. There's a lot of different stuff that we're doing to get this project going, and eventually, hopefully, I'll be doing an interest check to see who all wants to buy this mess, and then going through the fun of producing that for everybody. Anyways, thank you again for joining the stream here, and see you next time.